Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Azure Service Bus Fundamentals. My name is Anshuman Dixit. I'm an Azure Cloud Native Web Apps developer. You can find me in LinkedIn, email, and YouTube by following this link. In this episode, we will concentrate on how to send messages payload to the service bus queues and topics. If you have not watched my previous videos, I would definitely recommend to go and please watch those videos so that it will be easier for you to understand everything over here. In my previous video, in the first video, I have discussed about all the fundamentals related to the Azure Service Bus, how to design the system, how to then in the second episode, I have created how to send, how to create queues by using Azure Portal and how to create the queues by using your code base. I have used .NET Core. You can use other languages as well. In the third episode, we have similarly created for the topics. We have created from the Azure portal and we have created from the code base as well by using .NET Core and .NET Core applications. So I will put all the links in the descriptions so that it will be easier for you to navigate there and you can just watch those videos before joining here. In this video, it will be a continuation of this entire playlist. What exactly we will do in this video is we will discuss about how to send message payload to the service bus queues and topics. Suppose I have already created the queues and topics. Right now, our first functionality will be we will create some messages and we will send it to the service bus queues and topics. So let me open my Visual Studio. So if you can see, this is the same Visual Studio sample solution which has been used by for creating queues and topics by using the code base in the second episode and in the third episode. We will continue in this Visual Studio only. Okay, so you can see that I have created one Azure functions over here which has a service bus management functions, so which was responsible to create queues according to the queue names. And here you can see I have already created a service bus helper class, which was this is a static class. If I will choose over here, this is inside the common library, so as it can be reused later, so I have maintained it here, and it has some definite functions related to create queues, create topics, how to delete queues, create topics, all the things, right? And create subscriptions as well. So before that, we have just crossed over here and we will start from here only. Now, first thing, what you need when you want to send some messages to the service bus. Okay, first of all, you need a definite method, and we will write it down over here. Right now, I will type it like there are two scenarios. Either you can send it to service bus queue or you can send it to service bus topic. So to just differentiate them, this is very optional. This is depending upon your project requirement, but just to make it a generic and just to represent you in a single functionality, I'm just making it. But it all depends upon your business requirement. Okay, how to design this entire function, how to write the entire functions, right? So I will first create one enum. Right click. I will create a new folder, and I will put it like enums over here. Let it be, and this got complete. Now I will write it like service bus enums. Add, I will create another class. Let the class gets open. I have selected the class and I will write the name as service bus enums as it is explicitly related to service bus. Let the class gets created. Now the class gets created and you can see that there is one service bus enum. So I will make it as static class as I really don't want to instantiate this thing. And inside this, I will write one enum, public enum, and I will put it as type of container. What exactly it will have? It will have whether the container is queue, topic, or subscription. So what the exact scenario I will do, I will write some messages, or I will write some messages payload, and I will push it to the topic, and I will push it to the queues as well. Most of the functionalities are same. So just to differentiate them, I will create the enums and I will differentiate it. So I will write it like queues, and I will make it as topic, and there are another container like subscription which is not required, but I'm just writing it down. Okay, now this enum got created. After that, what exactly we need, we will write everything in our service bus helper. Okay, so I'll go to my service bus helper and I will start writing it down. I'll create one region over here, region, and I will put it as sending messages, and I will end this region so that it will, my code will be maintainable later. Okay, I will put this region, and now I'll put my code inside here. What exactly I will do, I will create one method, public static. It will be an async, and it will be a task, and I will write it like send message async. Now I'll put a generic functionality over here. I will create a generic method. So I will put the parameter as t over here, and here I will write my enum. First thing, what exactly I will put it in my input parameter. I will write my enums over here. So this would be your type of container, and I will write it like type of container. That's good. Then your string, I will write it as path name. What exactly path name will be? Your queue names or your topic names. Um, it will be passed from an external sources. And again, I will pass it like list of generic DTO, and I will put it as messages. As I'm creating a generic class over here, which will be used later. So it is a great approach to design your solutions like this. And for every topic or for every messages, I want to add some additional properties, right? I have already discussed that each message will have different properties. I will show you when I will send the messages over there. So I will show you where the properties will reside. And for that thing, I will create another class, and I will mark it as additional properties. Hopefully my spellings are correct. Let's wait. Additional properties, and I will put it like properties. Its name is like properties, and I will mark it as optional. Okay, this is not mandatory. Not all messages will have the additional properties. You can mark it as optional. Okay, now I will create one class over here. So I'll already have a DTO, and I just want to pass everything from another external sources that will be my Azure functions in this entire applications. So I'll put it in the DTO, and I will put it like additional properties over here, and I will mark it as public class, and this looks good. Now here I will have two properties. I will make a string of session ID. So if you have not known about session ID, you can just watch my previous videos. You will get the idea of what exactly session ID is and why we need session ID. It is optional parameter, but yeah, if you have chosen your queue to maintain the sessions, or you have chosen the topics to maintain the sessions, you need the session ID. So I am putting it here. and I will write another prop and I will make it as a dictionary of having, let it be, the string is the key and object will be the value, and I will put it like user properties. Okay, sounds good. I hope my spellings are correct. So I have created this video. Now I'll go back to my service bus helper class, and here you can see that this is reflecting to there only. Yeah. Right now I will just invoke it by using control dot. Let the enums gets generated over here, and I will put my using statement. Let it be. Okay. Now this got invoked. Now everything looks good. Now I'll start my designing my functions over here. Now in the service bus helper, what I will do, I will create two property. I'll first put a try catch over here so that if something goes wrong, we can at least see the exceptions. I will not handle the exceptions right now. For exception handling, I will create a separate video. But for now, I will just create a try catch over here so that if at the debugging time something goes wrong, we can see the exceptions over here. Now in the try, I will first do a queue client, and I'll just get it from the Microsoft.azure.service and this one will be queue client, and I will mark it as null as I will not instantiate it here, and I will create another topic client and I will mark it as topic client equal to null. Now I will write a switch statement and I'll just pass this type of container. I think you are already getting it right what I'm doing. So with respect to the type of container, all the functionalities will be almost similar. So with respect to the type of container, whether it will be queue or whether it will be topic, we will instantiate the queue client or topic client. Okay, so first thing we will do is if it's queue, I'll just instantiate it like queue client equal to new queue client, and it will have the connection string and the path name. So for queue, the path name will be the queue name. It's not the topic name. You just remember it. Now for the topic, that will be similar. I will just copy paste here, and here I will put it like this one will be your topic client and this one will be your topic client, new instantiation of the topic client class, and this will be a connection string and this will be a path name. Yeah, obviously this will be the path name of the topic, not the queue. And for subscription, I don't have anything. I will just remove it. And default, I don't want to do right now anything, but it's a good practice that you should handle the default cases as well as default cases. But here we really don't need anything. Now I'll create another variable for maintaining the sessions, because the way I have created the queue in the last video, queue or topic, I was maintaining the sessions over there. So I have put the right click of right check mark over there to create the sessions, to maintain the sessions. So I'll create a session ID and I will just pass it like this. So here inside this, I have my sessions ID, right? So I'll just cross check here. If properties is not equal to null, is not equal to null, and I have string dot is null empty, and I will put it like negation mark over here. If it's not null or empty, what exactly I will write it like properties dot session ID. If session ID is not null, it is coming from the external source, which will be my API. I'll mark the the session ID as properties.session ID, or I will mark it as string.empty. Now once this thing gets done, I will save it. Okay, now you can see what exactly I have done. I have created one queue client, then is the topic client, and with respect to the switch conditions, that is an enum, and I have created the case conditions whether it will be a queue client or whether it will be a topic client. So this thing gets done. Now I will create the messages. Okay, so the messages are also coming from the external sources, as it's a generic function. If you understand the C# code or any object oriented language code, you can understand that this is a generic function. So I am creating a generic class over here, list of t, which is a generic class, and this messages will eventually come to here from the external sources, and here it will be a Azure function app. uh, Obviously it will be the API only. I will create one API which will be HTTP triggered functions, and I will pass the messages over here. So first I will collect the list of messages. I will create one thing over here. So let me correct this. This will be message. This is the service bus functionality. I will put it like message batch. Why I'm creating the message batch? So you can actually pass the messages individually, or you can pass the messages by 2 3 by creating multiple messages as well. So I'll create it like list of messages. So that I will create my batch, and I will, with respect to a single call, I will pass multiple messages to the service bus queue. What is the benefit over here? Suppose I have only single message. So also this function will eventually work, and I will pass the single messages to the queue. Even if I have multiple messages, more than one messages, I will pass those messages uh, eventually to the service bus queues or topics. But to just check, but for your reference, I am telling you, in the production environment, sometime what is happening, the message size will be huge. So you need to segregate those, and you need to create the batches and create it as a chunk. So suppose I have 10 messages, but service bus has only 1 MB of 1 MB of size. So all queue will have only 1 MB in your standard tier, and in the price, if you are choosing a different pricing tier, it will go higher as well. But if you are going for the cost, and you are maintaining the your service bus queue as 1 MB, so your message size should not be exceed than 1 MB, otherwise it will have the exception. So it has the, you have the responsibility to how to design these messages, how to chunk these messages down into different batches, and you can put a for each loop, and you can send the messages accordingly. But right now I will not do that. I'll just only showing you how to send the messages properly. Now for each message, whatever the message I am getting right now here, I'll just put it like var message in messages. For each message, what exactly I will do, I will first serialize the messages. So I will write it like string of message body. Why I am serializing it? Eventually you will be encoding these messages into some format, and you will be sending it to the service bus queue. It will be more secured way you are sending it, so that it will be more secure. Now I'll write it like JSON convert. It is a Newton sub library. It is coming under Newton sub library, so I need to extract it. JSON convert dot serialize JSON object. Now I will pass this message over here. Now this got serialized. Okay. Once I will run this application, you will be able to understand how these things are going to work. Now this got serialized. Now I want to encode the messages. So I will write it like var encode message, encoded message. always in your production applications, you should not write variable where. You can write it like the exact naming convention or exact data type, so that it will be able to able to understand with the different people of your entire application development team. New message, and I will write it like encoding dot utf8 dot, I'll get the bytes from the message body. This is the reason why I was creating the serialization of the messages. Now the message got encoded, right? But I already have my user properties. Suppose someone is sending some properties over here, that this user properties has not been attached to any of the messages, and I need to take care of that as well, right? So what I will do, I will write it like if properties, it can be nullable, so I will write it like properties dot user properties. If it's not equal to null, I'm just checking the conditions, but it all depends on the business requirement, how you want to handle it in the generic functions. If it's not null for each user property, so I will write it like where user property in your I have a method, I have a properties over there like properties dot user properties. It is a dictionary, so for each dictionary keys, I will add it to every message. Suppose I have encoding message, so I will add it like encoding message dot, there is one property called as user properties, and it is as I can hover, you can see that it is the same same data type, string of object. So the key will be string and the value will be object. So eventually it will add, and I will write it like user properties dot, first will be your key, then the same thing user property, then will be your value. Now this got completed. Now eventually all the messages I have to pass a session ID, because my queues, all my queues have session enabled. So one thing you can do, as you can make it, as you are maintaining a generic class over generic function over here, so you can collect the queue details with respect to the queue client. Whenever you are creating the queue client, you can collect the queue details, just like the create queue async. You can collect the queue details and you can check this whether there is session ID enabled or not. There is one property you can actually do that, but I will not do that here, because eventually it will make this entire function little bit more complex. So assume like I already have my session ID enabled, so I have made it like encoded message dot session ID, whatever the session ID I'm getting in the user properties. So I will just copy paste this, whatever the thing I have maintained it over here, and I will pass it over here. Once this thing gets done, I have already created my message, my particular message which has to be sent to the service bus. Now I will add this message, the message I have created, to the message batch. Where? Here. I'll write it like message batch dot add, and I will write it like encoded message. In the same way, if I have multiple messages, this will be eventually added over here, and now I will send everything to the queue client or topic client, depending upon whether I am passing it to the queue or topic. So again, I will create one switch statement over here. Again, it all depends upon your business requirement. You should not write it the way I am writing. I am just showing you for the sake of purpose. Right now for the queue, I will pass it like queue client dot send async, queue client dot send async, and I will pass. If you can see over here, there is two things. One is the one thing is you can pass a single message, or you can pass multiple messages. So right now I will just put this message batch. I want to pass the multiple messages, but if you are maintaining multiple messages, so you have to properly adjust everything over here, because there will be some message size limitations and it will show you the exception eventually if the message size will be much more higher than the expected thing. It depends upon the pricing tier of the Azure Service Bus. So you need to handle those things as well so that you can chunk these messages into some batch, and for each batch you can just write it like queue client that send message async, and eventually all the messages will be inside the service bus. Once this things gets complete, I'll just want my queue client to be closed. Queue client dot close async. So right now you can understand, right? So why we need to pass everything in a message batch. So it's better because eventually if you are planning to just pass single messages, you need to hit this request again and again. So eventually this will also going to be a network request, which we really don't want in production level because it will have huge network routing, right? And once this thing gets complete, and you need to close that network also over here. So it's better always to pass everything in a message batch, but you need to check the message size as well, whether it's exceeding with respect to your pricing tier or not. Now in the similar way I will do it for the topic. I'll go for the topic. I'll write it like topic client. This will be my topic client dot send async, and this will be my topic client dot close async. Always try to close this call so that it will be performance enhanced. Once this thing gets done, you can easily understand that what I am doing. First, I am checking whether it's queue type or whether it's topic type. According to that, I am creating my instantiating my class. So queue client and topic client, and I am getting the session ID from the properties over here, and after that I am creating the messages over in this for each. I am creating the messages, and eventually I am passing the messages to the message batch, and eventually I am sending the messages again by creating a switch method, whether I am sending it to the queue or whether I am sending it to the topic. Okay, this is a type of generic method I have created, but eventually I can tell you that this all depends upon your business requirement, how you want to write your generic code. For me to show you, I have only written this code. Now, once this thing gets done, I'll just build this solution and I will check everything is working fine or not. Let's rebuild. Hopefully everything will work. The build is getting, so we will just wait. So you can see over here that what kind of DLL file is getting generated. So you can see that there is one service configure function app is getting generated, and there is one common library.dll code DLL code generated. And you can see that there are two builds. So rebuild all two success. So everything looks good till now. And right now I will generate one function app. What exactly that function app will do? Eventually that will collect the messages from the API, and it will pass it to this function, this generic functions. Eventually this will pass it over here, and eventually I will send everything to the service bus messages. Let me add another function app over here. Right click, go to add, go to your new Azure functions. Now I'll just put a Azure functions over here, and I will mark it like send message. Let it be like send message only, and I'll put an add function over here. Let the file gets generated from the Visual Studio, and I will mark it like HTTP trigger just to show you. It all depends upon your business, how you want to trigger it. I have marked it like HTTP trigger. So once this thing gets generated, I will just remove everything from here. These are not required right now to show you. And for right now, I will just write it like message got sent. But it's better you have to handle the exceptions and you have to write a proper response message in your production applications. Now, what exactly this function app will do? First thing, this function app will check whether it's queue or topic. For that, just to simulate that thing, I will do one thing. I'll create a string data type, string variable known as queue name equal to, I'll put the request dot query. I'll pass this thing from the query parameter. You can pass it from the request body as well, and you can just deserialize those things and you can just segregate it. So if someone knows C sharp, he or she will be able to understand this. If you want to write it in different languages, you are most welcome to do, and you can just search how to do those things and you can write it accordingly. Now I'll create another string topic name. Okay, there is some confusion going on in my Visual Studio. It got lagged. String topic name equal to request dot your query topic name. Now once this thing gets done, I have already collected whether it's queue name or topic name. Okay, so if I am passing the query meter as queue name, this will be my queue. If I am passing the query meter parameter as topic, this will be my topic name. Now I want to read the messages, okay, which will be sent here as a request body. So I'll write it like string of messages. It will be not string, it will be the list of message type. So I'll put it like variable messages. So it will be easier for me to write it down right now. I'll put JSON convert over here dot. I'll deserialize the object coming as an request body. Okay, I have the request body. So I'll just write it like this will be this. I'll just collect the request body from another parameter like variable request body will be your await request dot read string as async. That's fine. And I will put this request body over here. Eventually, this will have my string. This will have my list of messages. I'll just pass it over here like list of your send message DTO. So suppose I have a DTO or not, I'll just check. I don't have any DTO. I'll create another DTO over here. So it will reflect the message DTO and I'll put it like send message DTO. Let it come. I'll put it like public class and I will create two properties over here. One is the message ID, string message ID. It will be int. Let it be int. This will, I'll just mark it as message ID. This entirely depends upon the business requirement, what kind of payload you want to have. So right now you can just have this thing and I am just writing like message ID and string message property. Message descriptions, okay. Descriptions. Okay, it sounds good. I have already created this thing and I'll do one thing. there is another thing in the .NET Core. I don't know uh, for other languages. You can check it and you can just write it down like this. In the .NET Core, I have a JSON property attribute over here so that I will just synchronize my request body with respect to this parameter, because if I have a small case over here, it will not going to be synchronized automatically unless and until you write the code properly. So I'll write it like JSON property. My property name will be the same thing, but it will be in small case. So I will write it like this. So I'll just copy this and I'll write it like this and I will put it like message body, message ID. Now the same thing I will just copy from here and I'll put it in the message descriptions. So I'll put the same thing from here to here and I'll keep a small m over here because most of the cases in JSON files, all the properties are in the small case. So you can just use it in this way so that it will be synchronized. Now I'm coming to the uh, send message function app. Now I'll just copy and I will just pass it over here and I'll get my using statements for the DTO as well as the list. So list will have inside the generic. So I'll just collect it from the generic. Now my messages got created. You can see that this is list of message DTO. What exactly I will do right now? If you are saying that I will create a switch statement, that's correct. I will not create any switch statement over here. Rather, I will go for the if statement. That would be much more appropriate. And I will first check if I have any messages or not. Suppose I don't have any messages, why do I need to pass it to my generic functions, right? So if I have messages, I'll just add system.linkU and I'll just create the session ID, variable session ID. And just to simulate this thing, what I will do is I will create a random number from 1 to 9, new random, and I will just put it like next. And here I will write it like the minimum value and the maximum value. It will eventually give you a number between 1 to 9, and this will be random number. Now the same thing I will do for user property. User property, I'll create properties. I'll create one thing. It will be a new dictionary. Okay, I have done a mistake over here. Okay, new dictionary. And this dictionary will have the key in string and the value in object format. I'll put it over here. Now, once this user properties gets completed, I'll just pass this session ID to the user property. I will do one thing. I'll create a parameter over here so that it will be differentiated at the time of when I will show you. So I will write it like user properties dot add, and I'll just create one other thing so that I can filter it out later. I'll write it like filter property. This is entirely depends upon your business requirement, and this is user has to define all these things. The code has to define all these things, right? I will make it like session ID. Session ID is your which type? It is the int type. Session ID plus I will just add 10 over here so that it will be differentiated from the sessions from here. Okay. Now once this user ID gets completed, I will create one DTO for this additional properties, right? So I'll just grab this DTO class name and I will create it like additional properties. I'll put it as properties DTO equal to new additional properties, and I will create it like session ID equal to your session ID whatever the session ID I have created over here. So this session ID I'm passing it over here, and this is, I think this is string. Yeah, so string, so I need to convert it to toString, and I want to pass the user properties over here. User property is equal to this user property, whatever the dictionary I have created. Yeah, you can eventually pass this thing from the API as well, but just to show you, I have collected it in the code base. It all depends upon your business requirement, how you want to deal with it. Now I have created the additional properties, I have created the sessions, I have created the user properties as well. One thing I want to do, that is, I will just check if whether it's a queue or session. If string dot is null or empty, I'll pass it like queue name. If it's, oh, sorry, my mistake. If it's a queue, if it's not a queue, okay. If you can see that I am passing it like is string null or empty, I'm checking. So if the queue name is not empty over here, it will eventually come here, and I will write it like await service bus helper. I'm not getting it because I think I have not created the using statement. I'll just collect it. Yeah. So I have created like service bus helper dot your what exactly the service bus name, send message async, and eventually this is a generic. So I will pass this send message async over here. What exactly will be the DTO name? If you can see, this should be my DTO. I'll pass it over here as it's a generic function. So you can hover over here so that you will able to understand that what exactly the things we need to pass it over here. So first is your type of container. As it is a queue, I will write it like I will collect the enum from here. So service bus enums, and service bus enums dot, I'll just collect it by using statement. Service bus enums dot type of a container dot, it will be queue. Then I want to pass my queue name. So what exactly my queue name will be? Here according to my code, my queue name will be queue name. Then you can see that the messages I want to pass. So what exactly the messages will be the list of message DTO, and you can see that here also it will be showing you the list of message DTO, right? The list of send of DTO of messages. I'll pass the messages. Now this additional property is I have already marked this as optional, but here we have already created, so we can pass it eventually. So I am passing it like properties DTO. So exactly the same thing I will do for the topic. I'll create it like topic async. If something is, this will be topic name. If something inside the topic name, this will be coming from the query parameter in the request, HTTP request, and I will pass it like this will be topic enum, and this will be eventually topic name. This topic name I'm passing it over here, and eventually the messages will be the same and the properties radio will be the same. All are looking good right now, so ready to just build this. I'll just rebuild everything. Let's see if everything goes well, it will be built eventually. Let's wait so that it will be built. So build is getting generated. You can see that it is generating two builds and two got succeeded. Right now, okay, it's time to just check whether everything is working fine or not. Okay, so I'll go over here. One thing I want to show you, that you can actually go to your portal and you can actually go to your service bus namespace to see everything over here, right? If you will go to the queues, I'll just go to my queues, let this thing gets loaded, and you can see that inside the queues, if I will go, you can see that number of messages, what amount of number of messages are there. Okay, right now it is having 5 messages delivery count, but it has only 0 messages over here. Okay, you can see this thing, right? But there is another open source software, Azure Service Bus Explorer. You can go over here and you can eventually go to this GitHub page, thanks to this contributions by this persons. So if you can go to over here, you can check that there are some stable versions. They have deployed it. And if you have the Choco, you can install the Service Bus Explorer easily. So what exactly this will look like? So this will be looking like this. Let me share this. Yeah, so this will be looking like this. Once you open this and once you run the .exe file, there will be one .exe file. And once you open this .exe file, it will open and you can go to this file. You can go to this connect. You can choose your service bus or you can enter your connection string. If I want to enter my connection string, I can enter it over here and it will eventually show you all the queues and topics inside the service bus namespace. So just to refresh this, you can see that in service bus I have one queue called as Anshuman queue from code, and here in my service bus explorer it is pointing like Anshuman queue from code. And you can see here like 0 comma 0 comma 0, this will represent you how many number of messages are residing over here. In topics you can see that I have two topics. One is the sample topic from code, and inside sample topic from code, I already have a subscription known as sample subscription from code, which these three things has already been developed in the second and third episode of this entire playlist. So you can easily go there and you can check how this thing got created by using Codebase or by using the portal as well. Right now, I will just run my function app. I will come back to my function app and I will run my function app. Eventually, hopefully everything, if everything goes right, I can show you the messages. I forgot to give the debugger. I'll just add a breakpoint over here and here as well inside here. If I'll go to the common library, I'll just add another breakpoint over here. Okay, sounds good. Let the function app gets run. We will wait. Uh, there is something going on inside my function app. Yeah, it got created. Now you can see in my previous video, I have used this function app to create the topics and queues. Right now, I will use this function app to send the messages. I'll just copy this. I have copied this and I will open my Postman. Uh, Let my Postman come little bit. I'll just minimize this. Yeah. So you can see that I have already created one payload over here that is actually pointing to the send messages, and eventually this will be my function apps localhost function apps HTTP request endpoint. Eventually, if you want to deploy this to the Azure, you can have a different endpoint, so you need to trigger it accordingly. And here I will put it like queue name. So if you can see my code in the send messages for queue name, I was actually typing it like queue name, and this will be my query parameter. I will just copy and I will come to my Postman and I will copy over here so that I will not have any spelling mistake. I have a lot of typo mistake earlier. I'll go to my Service Bus Explorer. I'll click on here. This is my queue. I will collect the queue name from here and I'll just put it over here. Okay, now I have already created one payload over here like message ID and message descriptions. Here I have array of messages so that I can send multiple messages at a time. Okay, so this got created. Now if I will show the parameters, you can see that this is queue name, and in the request body I have used JSON application just .json, and in the header I have used content type as applications slash JSON. Now I have put in the send functionality. Let it come to the function. Yeah, hopefully it came. Now I will just debug it. Okay, let's check the queue name. You can see that the queue name is Anshuman queue from code. Let me zoom it. You can see that this is Anshuman queue from code. In topic name, it should be null. Yeah, correct. Right now, the request body, you can see the request body, the message description, the message ID, everything is correct. Now I want to deserialize this thing so that I will get list of messages. You can see that there are three messages. Everything has message ID as 1. Then the second is message ID as 2. The third is message ID as 3. Now already I have my message and I will create a random number here. So right now it is picking as 6, and I will create a user properties. Eventually this user property will have a key known as filter properties, and you can check that the session ID we were getting it as 6, so now it got 16. So filter property and 16. Now it has a queue name, so I will eventually send this to a queue. I'll pass the enum as queue and the queue name here over here, and messages and properties detail, whatever the properties detail I am collecting from here. Right now I'll go inside here by using F11, and I will coming from here. Now I will just again check. I have created with respect to the switch case, I have created the queue client, and I'm coming outside of the there. I'll create my messages, and for each you can see that I'm serializing the message body. Right now I have encoded the message body with respect to the byte array. You can see that it is byte of 679 bytes and all got encoded. Now for each user properties, so you can see that I have one user properties I have created like filter properties of 16 for this message. This has to be attached to all the messages, right? So for that I have used a for each loop and I have attached this. Now once this thing gets done, I am pushing that message to my message bed, but till now it is not been sent. Okay, I'll do the same thing for all the messages. Let it be. I'll simply just debug all these things first so that I will not waste the time. Now this got created. Now you can see that this got created. Now I am coming to the switch container. As I am passing the queue, I am passing to the queue. Let's just wait. Let's wait so that my Visual Studio gets again run. Well, it's running right now. So you can see that the messages got created in the message batch. If I will click on over here, you can see that there are three lists, one list having three batches over here, counts over here. So right now, as I have my queue, so that I will just click on here and it is getting into the queue client, and hopefully if everything goes well, yeah, it did not get any errors or any exceptions, as it would have been come to this catch block. And I'm just breaking it as a queue client, and I'm just passing it, and here you can see that message got sent. Why message got sent? In the send message I have written it in a hard-coded way that message got sent. So everything looks good. Right now I will go to my service bus explorer. I will just refresh this, and you can see that there are three messages over here. Let's just check whether the messages are correct or not. I will do one thing. I will just receive and delete. So what exactly receive and delete will do? Once I will receive this thing into the Service Bus Explorer, it will delete from here as well. So you can see if I'll click on here, let's wait so that it will get received. I don't know really whether my internet is getting slow or it is taking a lot of time. Yeah, it got received. You can see that there is no message right now because I have chosen receive and delete. So once this thing gets received, it got deleted. Now you can see that the first message have message ID as 1, message description as this, and the second message, if I will choose, this is message ID as 2 and description as this, and the third message is message ID 3 and description as this. So the filter property conditions I have written like, if I have a session ID, it will be session ID plus 10. Let's just check for this second message. So it is message as 2. Let's just check the session over here. So you can see that there is one random number gets generated like 3, and filter property is right now 3 plus 10 equal to 13. Similarly, we can check it for here. And if I will just click on here, you can see, give me 1 minute. I'll just click on here and you can see that session ID is 3 and the filter property is 13 over here. So this looks good for queues. The same thing I will do it for topic. I'll just collect the topic name from here so that I will pass it from the postman. I'll make it as topic name, and I will collect one topic from the Service Bus Explorer. So this is one topic I can collect because it has a subscription. I'll go up in here and I will write it like topic from code, and I will pass again everything. So just to make this quicker, I'll just write it on continue. You can see that it is coming here, and you can see that it should go to the topic as I have choose the topic enum right now. It is coming to the topic and I have sent everything to the topic. So we could have checked something, what exactly the session ID is. Let's check if I have something over here, message ID. If I have a session ID, so you can see that the session ID is 8 for all the topics, all the topic messages, and eventually the filter messages will be 8 plus 10 equal to 18. And let's just check this from the Service Bus Explorer. So I will just go to my topic, and inside my topic I have my subscriptions. I'll just refresh it. Why it is showing me as, yeah, it is showing me as 3, so it has not been refreshed. And I will just receive it again the same way. I will just click on this message. I'll just receive and delete. I really don't want to put all the messages over there so that it will increase my cost. So you can check here as created art, updated art, what will be the message count, all the status. You can check the status as active, is read only, it is not read only, it is false. So you can check all these properties of a message. So you can check that I have put the same messages over here, here, and here. So just to cross check, we can see the session ID. So session ID is 8 and the filter property is 18. So hopefully I'll just click on, yeah, it got refreshed and it is now showing me 0 messages are inside the service bus topic as I have chosen receive and delete over there. Hopefully I'll be able to make you understand that how we can send the messages from the code base. So just to simulate everything what I have created, I will just put in the finalized statement that I have created the common library. There I have created how the messages will be sent, whether it's queue or topic, how to generalize the functions, and I invoked all those things from the Azure Function app. I have created another API. So it's an HTTP request. So I can call it as an API. So I have created one send message API over here. So inside my send message API, whether it's queue or whether it's topic, I have invoked the generic function send message async here and here as well. And eventually it is passing everything to the service bus. And by using the service bus explorer, I have shown you everything over here. And also you can go to the Azure portal and you can see that whether these things are correct or not. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks for your love and support. Please keep like, subscribe and share these things so that it will be helpful to other users who are learning the Azure as well. So in the previous topic, we have discussed all the related to the Azure functions, Azure Service Bus fundamentals, and this will be the part of the next video as well. Thanks for your love and support. Thanks.